She noticed my gaze and challenged, "Step inside if you dare." Welcome to Bad Boys Channel, where we reveal true adultery stories with unexpected developments. If you find the video interesting, consider subscribing and liking it. Your support really aids the growth of our channel. Now let's embark on the journey into the story. Now let us embark on a journey into the tale. Greetings, I am known as David. At 27, I found myself in search of a more tranquil existence. After 6 long years in a bustling city that never seems to quiet down, I yearned for tranquility. Not the type you stumble upon in a cozy cabin nestled in the woods or at a serene retreat high in the mountains. Merely a community, a tapestry of lives intertwined. In a place where green lawns stretch out, mailboxes stand like sentinels, and friendly greetings drift over the fence now and then. And so it came to be that I found myself in a humble 2-story abode, nestled at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac just beyond the vibrant city of Portland. It features floors that creak with every step, a peculiar scent wafting from the basement, and an enchanting allure that reveals itself slowly over time. Yet, it belongs to me, and for the first time in ages, I rise to a morning free from the wailing of sirens or the furious thuds of neighbors slamming doors in the dead of night. In the whirlwind of that first week, I found myself surrounded by a sea of unpacked boxes, misplacing items I had just unearthed, and savoring frozen meals while leaning over the sink. In this unfamiliar place, I found myself surrounded by strangers. In the beginning, that was the essence of it all. In my mind, I believed that solitude was the remedy I sought to find my breath once more. Yet, as time passes, the silence begins to whisper its secrets to you, revealing its voice when it lingers too long. On a bright Wednesday afternoon, my eyes were drawn to her for the very first time. There she was, perched on the porch next door, carefully snipping the ends of a sprawling lavender bush that adorned her walkway. It's hard to say what first drew me in. Maybe the way she moved, calm and deliberate, or maybe the quiet strength in how she carried herself. In that moment, I lingered just a heartbeat too long. As her eyes met mine, a smile blossomed on her lips, illuminating the moment. Not the awkward kind of smile you'd give a stranger. This one was different, assured, understanding. I offered a brief nod before turning my gaze elsewhere. Though I hesitated, there was an undeniable quality to that moment that stayed with me. In the days that followed, she captured my attention more and more. Each morning, she finds herself outside, tending to her plants with care. Occasionally, she settles onto her porch, a glass in hand, perhaps coffee, wine, or a soothing tea, savoring the moment. She seemed to be in her early 40s, a time when life holds many stories yet to be told. Her dark hair, with streaks of silver woven through, was tied loosely, hinting at stories untold. Her face, with its natural beauty, held a captivating allure that was impossible to ignore. She possessed an effortless beauty, elegant in her demeanor without any hint of pretense. She appeared to be truly alive. Our words remained unspoken until the next Saturday arrived. As I completed the task of hauling my trash bins to the curb, I turned around and there she was once more. She donned a flowing white button-up shirt paired with denim shorts. Sunlight danced upon her face, reminiscent of a scene from a film. I gazed intently, excessively lengthy. She stood her ground, unwavering. With a subtle tilt of her head, she strolled to the edge of her porch and called out, "Step inside if you dare." For a fleeting moment, it stole my breath away. It didn't carry the usual hints of flirtation, a challenge it seemed to be. Once upon a time, there was a test. I stood still, caught in a moment of disbelief. She lingered for a moment, her gaze fixed on me before she turned and stepped inside, leaving the door ajar just a crack. I lingered there, feeling rather foolish for what seemed like an eternity of 10 seconds, and so I made my way up her steps. The air was filled with the warm, inviting scents of cinnamon and freshly polished wood. Inviting, yet genuine, without any pretense. With a silent grace, she guided me into the living room, her hand gesturing for me to take a seat. I certainly did. With a graceful motion, she filled 2 glasses with rich crimson wine. "I'm Emily," she said as she extended one towards me. I responded, "David." In the quiet of the moment, we savored our drinks, letting the stillness envelop us for a few minutes. She gazed out the window, her expression a mystery. "Do you find yourself in solitude?" she inquired. I gave a knowing nod. "I have just settled into my new abode. A moment to pause and refresh was essential. She offered a gentle smile, a subtle glimmer of warmth in her expression. Ah, the journey of a reset, a tale often underestimated. It's a challenge that weaves its complexities into the fabric of our lives, revealing that the path to renewal is not as simple as it may seem. It was the very first moment I caught a weighty undertone woven into her voice. A sense of weariness lingers. I trust I didn't come across as impolite earlier, I remarked. My gaze was unintentional. In that moment, she faced me, her gaze steady and unwavering. Your gaze was fixed. Yet all is well. It feels like an eternity since someone truly saw me. The words struck with a powerful force. Not overly theatrical, simply truthful. She reclined, her fingers dancing along the stem of the glass. My husband is away on a journey. He embarks on many journeys. Even when he walks through the door, his presence feels distant, as if he's a ghost in his own life. She took a moment to gather her thoughts. Engaging with neighbors isn't something I typically do. Ah, but you possess the aura of one who truly listens. Words escaped me in that moment. I simply nodded in response. Our conversation flowed for nearly an hour. Nothing too profound just yet there existed a certain cadence to it, easygoing, never pressured. As the years passed, her voice took on a gentler quality, as if she were gradually releasing a cherished memory. As I rose to take my leave, she accompanied me to the door, her smile lighting up the moment. Not with her lips, but with the depth of her gaze. "I'll see you around," she said with a knowing smile. "Indeed." And so I responded, absolutely. And in that moment, I found myself embarking on an unexpected journey. There was a mystery lingering in the air, something that eluded my grasp, yet I found it impossible to overlook. It was unexpected to cross paths with her again so soon. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I found myself on my porch, feigning interest in a book that had already graced my hands twice before, when suddenly her voice floated through the air once more. "What is the reason behind this?" From her side of the fence, she inquired with curiosity. There she stood, leaning against the porch railing, a glass cradled in her hand, wrapped in a long gray sweater that gracefully slipped off one shoulder. The sun was starting its descent, casting a golden glow upon her face, reminiscent of a masterpiece captured on canvas. I rose to my feet. "Absolutely." As I approached, I noticed she had already filled a second glass. Within those walls, the living room embraced me with a warmth that lingered in my memory. Or perhaps it was simply a touch more anxious this time around. In the stillness of the moment, a soft jazz melody floated through the air, weaving its way into the silence. Without uttering a single word, Emily passed me the wine and took a seat opposite me. She paused, allowing the silence to linger before finding her words. She appeared weary, not in a physical sense, but as if she were carrying a heavy secret within her for far too long. Her eyes held a steady gaze, neither shying away from mine nor seeking something beyond. Simply taking a moment to pause and breathe. With a hint of hesitation, she confessed, "I'm not really good at small talk." "Indeed," I responded. She wore a smirk, but it vanished just as swiftly. In that moment, she inhaled deeply, weighing the decision between voicing her thoughts or embracing the quietude. "Once upon a time," she revealed, "I was a different person entirely. In a time that came before this house, before the porch welcomed weary souls, and before the plants began to flourish, I kept my silence. I simply listened, just as she believed I would. At the age of 28, I took the leap and married Tom. We were in love, or so I believed we were." With a deliberate pause, she twirled the wine gently in her glass, letting the rich liquid catch the light. We embarked on the journey of trying to have children. For many moons. Healers, remedies, timetables, all of it. It transformed into our lifelong pursuit. And when it faltered, we ceased our efforts. Yet, we found ourselves no longer reaching out to one another. Silence fell upon the conversation. In the stillness of the house, silence reigned supreme. She glanced upward as if to confirm my presence beside her. He immersed himself in his tasks, gatherings on the road, connections with clients. I found myself here, in this very place, transformed into a caretaker of lavender and a rearranger of furniture that fails to spark joy. At first, I didn't believe he had cheated. Yet in the end, he found his way. One can sense the absence of a person, even when they occupy the same space. Her voice remained steady. She recounted this tale to herself countless times, far too many to count. I chose to stay. I'm not quite sure of the reason. Perhaps the thought of beginning anew felt far more daunting than remaining in the same place. Or perhaps it was simply that I had grown accustomed to the quietude. The atmosphere in the room was thick with an unspoken weight. I found myself uncertain about whether words should escape my lips, and so I chose not to, simply nodded. Gently, with a deliberate pace, she offered a faint smile. My apologies. That's quite a hefty pour for just the second glass of wine. No, I declared with conviction. I appreciate your trust in me with this matter. There came a moment of stillness that seemed to stretch on forever. I find myself at a loss, she admitted at last. Come, step inside. Engaging in conversation with you, that's not really my style. Yet there's a certain quality about you that feels effortlessly simple. I gazed at her, and for a fleeting moment, the urge to utter something witty flickered in my mind. A comforting notion, yet I chose to speak the truth instead. I'm quite content to be here. There are others who, too, found themselves in need of a moment to inhale deeply. Her gaze became gentle. She cast her gaze upon the glass before her, and so they rose to their feet. Join me on this journey, she beckoned. With a gentle gesture, she guided me to the rear of the house, as one wanders down a corridor adorned with cherished memories captured in frames. Most of them are about places, not people. And there, beyond the threshold, lay a quaint little patio. In that enchanting space, a swing swayed gently, 2 chairs stood invitingly, and above them, string lights flickered to life with a delicate click. In the stillness of the backyard, embraced by the towering trees, a sense of seclusion enveloped the space. As we settled onto the swing, the world around us faded, and the gentle creaking of the chains became our soundtrack. The wood groaned beneath our steps. When I acquired this house, I envisioned it brimming with vitality, she remarked. Once upon a time, in a world filled with joy, there were children who played and laughed together, surrounded by the warmth of their family. Instead, it transformed into a repository for moments that never came to be. Once more, her gaze found its way to me. Her expression was now devoid of any sadness, only truthfulness, that serene truthfulness that resonates deeper than any sorrow. At times, she went on, I envision the experience of encountering a soul who truly sought to grasp the depths of my being, not merely to resolve me, not merely to mend me, but truly perceive my essence. She offered neither a suggestion nor a gesture. It was something deeper, a connection that transcended mere flirtation. It was a revelation of the heart, and I sensed it deeply. I refrained from making any contact with her. I refrained from making any bold or foolish statements. We lingered for a moment, swaying gently on that old, creaking swing. As the soft glow envelops the room, a glass of wine rests gently in hand, inviting moments of reflection and connection, enveloped in the whispers of unspoken thoughts. At last I rose to take my leave. Allow me to escort you, she offered. At the door she stood there, keeping her distance, not embracing me or reaching out in any way. With a gentle touch, I eased it open and took my place beside it, letting the moment unfold. I appreciate your visit, she remarked with a warm smile. Your ears seem to carry the weight of shared pain. Silence enveloped my response. I found myself under no obligation to do so. I strolled back to my home just a short distance away, yet it seemed like an endless journey. On that fateful night, slumber eluded me. It wasn't due to feeling overwhelmed or confused. Yet, for the first time in what felt like ages, I sensed that I had entered a realm of authenticity. In the days that followed, a serene stillness enveloped everything. As I stood there, I noticed Emily wasn't out front, and I hesitated to knock on her door, not wanting to seem too eager. And so I found myself in a moment of stillness waiting. Quench the thirst of my green companions, clear out the garage despite its lack of mess, peruse the same passage in a book thrice, yet find it elusive and beyond comprehension. She lingered in my thoughts like a melody that refused to fade away. As the sun dipped below the horizon on a Thursday evening, I found myself on my porch, a beer in hand, feigning an interest in my emails. In that moment, The familiar sound of the screen door across the way creaked open, drawing my attention. I gazed upward. Silence enveloped her, words unspoken, hanging in the air like a delicate thread waiting to be woven into a tale. She simply cast a glance my way. A gentle inclination of the head, accompanied by a subtle, half-formed smile. With a graceful turn, she stepped inside, the door left ajar behind her. It was sufficient. I set the beer down on the step and strolled across the street as if gravity itself was guiding my every move rather than my own legs. The interior was cloaked in a soft, muted glow. A candle danced softly in the corner of the room, casting shadows that whispered secrets, while something simmered on the stove, hinting at a tale yet to unfold. Perhaps a warm bowl of soup, then. Her expression held no trace of surprise upon my arrival. Let's skip the pleasantries. There are no inquiries. Are you feeling a bit peckish? Once upon a time, I found myself in a moment of reflection. Yet, beyond all else, I found myself yearning for the connection that blossomed between us. In the heart of the home, we gathered around the kitchen table to share a meal. The comforting embrace of chicken noodle, a dish that whispers warmth and simplicity with every spoonful. With her hair pulled back, bare-faced and clad in a well-loved hoodie that likely belonged to her husband, she exuded a sense of comfort and familiarity, though I chose not to inquire further. The evening meal unfolded in a serene and cozy atmosphere. We engaged in a conversation that danced around the void, weaving tales of emptiness. Beloved films. The coffee was quite disappointing, our most troublesome neighbors to date. Her laughter rang out, a genuine burst that took me by surprise. It was the very first time the tale reached my ears. Once the meal was finished, we transitioned to the cozy embrace of the living room. She poured wine. Once more. This time, we found ourselves on the couch, side by side, rather than at opposite ends. As I drew nearer, my eyes caught sight of a delicate scar etched upon her wrist. She noticed my gaze upon her. She recounted the tale of how she tumbled from her bike at the age of 12. Once upon a time, there was a bike that still remained in my possession. It sits there in the garage, slowly succumbing to rust, just like all the other forgotten things I can't seem to part with. A smile graced my lips. It appears that you struggle with the art of release. She gazed at me then, with a lingering intensity. Indeed, I do. Silence enveloped the space once more. Yet, on this occasion it felt quite different. There was no discomfort to be found. It hung in the air, a palpable presence that we both sensed but had yet to put into words. Out of the blue she declared, "You've been on my mind." Once you had departed. In that moment I held my silence, allowing the weight of the words to linger in the air. Her eyes were wide open, revealing every secret they once held. I wasn't certain our paths would cross again, she added. Most men your age would have fled at the first mention of the darker truths. I leaned in a bit closer to her. Perhaps I have a preference for the authentic over the effortless. That brought a smile to her face. It was a modest smile. It was one of those gently curved ones where the lips barely shift, whispering secrets of their own. Yet, it is all found within the gaze. And then, she extended her hand. Her fingers danced lightly against mine. Illumination. It felt as though she was gauging whether I would retreat. I did not. Her hand lingered on mine. I can't promise you anything, she whispered gently. I'm currently navigating through a journey. I'm at a loss for what this could possibly be. I made it clear that I wasn't seeking anything. I said, in this moment I find myself present. With a gentle nod, she acknowledged the moment. That's quite a bounty, more than I've seen in quite a while. We lingered in that moment, time stretching around us like a warm embrace. The wine sat there, waiting, untouched and unappreciated. As the flickering flame danced gently, the candle's wax dripped slowly, casting shadows that whispered secrets of the night. And then I spoke, my voice barely rising above a whisper. Would you like to step outside for a moment? With a gentle nod, she acknowledged. And we stepped out onto the patio again. The sky was clear this time. Glimmers of stars peeked through the branches of the trees. We found ourselves on that familiar swing side by side. But this time, our shoulders brushed against each other. With a soft exhale, she let her breath escape. Your presence brings a sense of ease to the air around me. I cast my gaze in her direction. Her gaze was already fixed upon me. And then she drew closer, with great care. as if she were allowing me a moment to reconsider my choice. I did not. Her lips brushed against mine, gentle, uncertain, indeed without a doubt. It unfolded with a calm assurance, neither frantic nor hurried. In that stillness, a myriad of unvoiced thoughts lingered between us, weaving an invisible tapestry of connection. As she withdrew, silence enveloped the moment, nor did I. For in that stillness, everything fell into place. We lingered in the cool evening air until the chills settled in. As I made my way home, the street beneath my feet seemed to whisper secrets, its essence transformed in that moment. As if an unseen bond wove her home and mine together. That night sleep eluded me, not from a place of restlessness. Yet there was a change deep within me. Little did I realize what this would evolve into. Uncertainty loomed over the journey, leaving me to wonder whether it would crumble into dust or blossom into something extraordinary. Yet deep down I understood it was genuine, and for the first time in ages, I felt a sense of courage about the path ahead. In the days that followed, I found myself anticipating the instant when everything would seem like a misstep. There were moments when I found myself wishing I hadn't dared to cross the street. Lingering in a place where time slipped away, a sense of regret settled in. With a heavy heart, I find myself wishing I had held back. Yet that moment remained just out of reach. Instead, everything seemed to unfold with greater clarity. At first glance, Emily was nowhere to be found. She remained silent, her voice lost in the air. I chose not to send a message, and yet there was no trace of anxiety. Let us share a moment of stillness, just the two of us. As if a room holds on to its glow, lingering in the stillness, even in the absence of an audience. As the sun began to rise on that serene Sunday morning, I ventured outside, cradling a warm cup of coffee in my hands. Primarily driven by routine. In that moment, the air held a refreshing bite, invigorating all who breathed it in. The sky hung low, draped in the somber hues of early fall gray. And there she stood, a figure woven into the fabric of the moment. She stood by her car, a moment suspended in time, clad in denim and a breezy jacket. Her hair cascaded freely around her shoulders. She lifted her gaze, beheld me, and smiled, a glimmer of warmth dancing in their eyes, unreserved, calm and collected. Simply ordinary. I lifted my mug high. Ah, the dawn of a new day. "Are you occupied today?" she inquired. "Not at all." "Would you be willing to lend a hand at the hardware store? I seek a companion who can lift the weight of burdens and remains unfazed by the myriad of paint samples before us." A chuckle escaped my lips. I believe I can handle that with ease. With the windows rolled down, we set off on our journey. Her hand danced with the wind, gliding freely outside the passenger side window. The soft strains of music floated gently through the air, a folk song that was unfamiliar to me, and she softly hummed a tune, letting the melody weave through the air. In a moment that felt charged with unspoken words, she leaned in and let her hand gently settle on my leg, laid back, as if it had been destined to be there all along. That small act, I'm uncertain, it grounded me. Our afternoon was filled with the delightful task of selecting new cabinet handles, feeling the texture of sandpaper, and gathering an amusing array of sample paint jars. I observed her in a spirited debate with herself, wrestling with various shades of white that appeared indistinguishable to my eyes. Yet, it didn't bother me at all. It was heartening to witness her engrossed in something beyond the shadows of pain or the weight of memory, a tale of simplicity. Upon returning to her abode, we brought the bags inside and gently placed them in the kitchen. She stood before the open cabinets and declared, "I believe I despise everything within these confines. Everything could be transformed." I extended my hand. "Begin anew." With a glance cast back over her shoulder, she caught my eye. Indeed, that seems like a possibility. On that day, our lips never met. Ah, we haven't even touched upon the tale from before. As I departed that evening, she wrapped her arms around me in a warm embrace, confined, leisurely, with both arms and a silence that speaks volumes. The next time our paths crossed, the rain was falling softly around us. Out of the blue, I made my entrance, dripping wet, without an umbrella. Cradling a pizza box in my hands, it seemed like the perfect reason to linger a little longer. She opened the door, pausing for a moment, the silence hanging in the air like a breath held in anticipation. With a gentle smile, she gracefully stepped aside. "Step inside if you're drenched enough," she said, a playful smirk dancing on her lips. I slipped off my shoes and stepped inside. As she passed me a towel, we settled into the cozy living room, the pizza resting between us while the rain danced against the windows, creating a soothing symphony. At one moment, I inquired, "Is he aware?" She lifted her gaze. "Once upon a time, there was a character named Tom." I gave a thoughtful nod. "Absolutely not. He wouldn't even catch on, even if it were right in front of him." She took a moment to gather her thoughts. "It has been 4 long days since he last reached out. At times, I find myself pondering whether he even recalls my presence in this space." Her voice carried no trace of bitterness, a weary acceptance, as if the weight of the world has settled in the bones. In that moment, I found myself pausing, caught in a web of uncertainty. Then asked, "Why are you still with him?" She paused, allowing the silence to linger before responding. And so, at long last, we arrive at habit. Unease, regret, I'm not quite sure. Perhaps the entirety of it. She rose to her feet, strolled into the heart of the home, where the aromas dance and stories simmer. Poured herself some wine. Then they settled against the counter, a moment of pause in the unfolding tale. "Once upon a time, I held a deep belief in the sanctity of marriage." "I truly did," she remarked. "But then it starts to feel like you're playing a part in a play that no one's watching." I rose from my place, traversed the space, and positioned myself near her, yet maintained a respectful distance. "You can stop pretending now," I murmured gently. For a fleeting moment, her gaze locked onto mine, as if seeking something deeper. And then, for the second time, she kissed me. Yet this one lacked the gentle touch. It was bold and unwavering. It was indeed a reality. With her fingers entwined in my hair and my arms wrapped around her waist, we shared a moment that felt like a scene from a tale waiting to be told. It was as if an eternity of quiet had finally surrendered to a single, deep breath, weighted with the burden of time. As if two souls were on a quest to rediscover the warmth of being desired, and at long last they found the answer they sought. We separated, gasping for air. She leaned in, her forehead gently touching mine. "I'm scared," she whispered. "Indeed," I acknowledged. "Same here." She lifted her gaze. "This cannot merely be a fleeting getaway. It certainly isn't. Then please, stay with me." "I shall not. That night I didn't go home. We didn't sleep together. We just lay on our couch under a blanket, tangled together in that quiet, vulnerable space where the world stops trying to be loud." At one point, around 2 a.m., she said, "I think I've already made my decision." I chose not to urge her for an explanation. I drew her in tighter, savoring the moment, because I had already made mine too. As dawn broke and the world outside began to stir, I found myself roused from slumber on the couch by the gentle, rhythmic sound of clinking coming from the kitchen. Emily stood ready, clad in her jeans and sweater, her feet bare against the cool floor, as she poured steaming coffee into 2 waiting mugs. Her hair was gathered haphazardly, as if she had yet to catch a glimpse of her reflection. She cast a glance back at me, her smile warm and inviting, as if I had always been a part of her story. As the sun began to rise, she greeted the day with a simple yet warm, "Morning." "Morning," I replied, my voice still thick with the remnants of slumber. With a gentle rustle, I propped myself up, neatly folded the blanket, and made my way over. She offered me a mug in silence, and we lingered there for a moment, still, serene, genuine. As the sun streamed through the window above her sink, a warmth enveloped her home, casting aside the chill that had lingered for so long. It didn't feel like a museum of a life she never got to live. It embraced me like a warm memory. "I have a tale to share with you," she began. I felt a slight tension rise within me. It seemed I was preparing myself for the inevitable twist of fate. The weight of regret lingers, a shadow that follows closely, whispering tales of what could have been. Ah, the line of error that we all stumble upon. With a deep breath, she revealed, "I filed the divorce papers yesterday." In that fleeting moment, my eyelids fluttered shut and then opened again. She sipped her coffee. I took to the digital realm to accomplish it. It took me a mere 15 minutes to weave this tale. Upon his arrival in LA next week, his fate will be sealed. I held my tongue for a moment, letting the silence linger in the air. It wasn't that I was uncertain about my feelings. Rather, I was acutely aware of them, and I sought clarity before I shared my thoughts. "Are you certain?" I inquired gently. With a gentle nod, she acknowledged. "More than I have ever been." I observed her for a brief moment. Her face bore no hint of doubt. Unburdened by hesitation, she appeared to float, as though an unseen weight had at last been released from her heart. She continued, revealing that she lingered in that marriage, unwilling to face the truth that it had truly ended long ago. It wasn't the secret nor the quiet that lingered. I found myself grasping at shadows of what once was, clinging to a memory that had faded into nothingness. It was time for me to release my grip. And so it came to pass. With a gentle motion, I set my mug aside and extended my hand toward hers. She granted me the opportunity to take it. "And what shall become of us?" I inquired, our gazes intertwined. "That's a question best explored together." And so I offered her my own. "Our paths will not intertwine, not out of pity for you, not for the sake of rescue. Yet each time our paths cross, I discover a deeper sense of who I truly am. Your presence beckons me to linger a little longer." She drew nearer. Our foreheads met in a gentle embrace. "Then stay," she murmured softly. In the heart of the kitchen, we embraced, allowing the silence to weave around us as the words lingered in the air. It wasn't a scene filled with fiery romance and dramatic flair. There were no grand movements. There shall be no dramatic music. Two souls, in a gentle dance of choice, embracing one another with complete understanding. As the days turned into weeks, time flowed on. Lauren took it upon themselves to change the locks. He carefully transported his boxes into the garage, each one holding a piece of his journey. At long last he made his entrance, and it was swift. He spoke softly, did not plead. He surveyed his surroundings, a sense of unfamiliarity washing over him, as if the place had slipped through his fingers and no longer belonged to him. Indeed, that was the case. He gathered what was essential and then departed. There was no farewell, no closure, yet that marked a unique conclusion in its own right. We held back from going public at first. Perhaps a handful of neighbors had their suspicions. There were glances, hushed side comments. But no one said anything. In all truth, it was of no concern to us. As the moon rose higher, I found myself drawn to her haven more often, seeking the warmth of her company under the stars. Then, entire days. As we embarked on the journey of repainting the kitchen together, I found myself lost in the hues, unable to discern the subtle differences between eggshell white and winter mist. In the heart of our home, we sow the seeds of a garden. She chuckled at the demise of the tomatoes while I pointed fingers at the squirrels. On certain evenings, we would find ourselves on the swing beneath the stars, sharing a comfortable silence. As she nestled her head against my shoulder, we found solace in the gentle whispers of the wind weaving through the trees. She once remarked, "You know, this isn't the life I envisioned for myself." I replied, "Neither do I." With a gentle smile, she leaned closer and whispered, "But perhaps this is the life I was meant to live." Several months passed, and the day finally arrived when I took the leap and made it my home. We chose not to make a grand announcement. There was no ring to be found. There will be no wedding, not just yet. We were just together, the kind of together that was hard-won, constructed, calm yet powerful. Each morning I would rise to the sweet sound of her humming as she prepared breakfast. As I toiled away in the garage, she lost herself in the pages of a book. There were moments when we found ourselves in heated debates over the silliest of matters. How many throw pillows crossed the line, or who was responsible for leaving the porch light aglow. Yet our discussions never turned into disputes about our bond. For we were aware of our origins, and we understood the treasure we possessed in that moment. She had transcended the role of mere neighbor. She was my companion on this journey. She marked the start of my journey, and I belonged to her. Time can slip away, almost unnoticed, as the days weave together into a tapestry of moments. Only when you pause to reflect do you truly grasp the distance you've traveled. It has been a full year since that fateful morning in her kitchen, when Emily revealed to me that she had taken the step of filing the divorce papers. As we lingered in the gentle embrace of the morning light, our hands intertwined, we fought to steady ourselves against the gravity of the journey that lay ahead. We have embarked on a journey to a new place, a quaint little town, more serene than the one before. We yearn to depart from the very street where our paths first crossed. Not due to disdain, but rather because it was steeped in shadows. In that place, her former existence echoed with an overwhelming clamor. The mailbox bore his name, a lingering reminder of his presence. The walls hold the echoes of their battles, whispering tales of conflict and resolution. And the porch, the very one where she first beckoned me, "Come in if you're bold enough," was teeming with spirits of the past. And so, we gathered our belongings and prepared for the journey ahead. In a quaint little two-bedroom house by the coast, the salty breeze dances through the air, and the windows sing a familiar tune when the rain arrives. It may not be flawless. The bathroom door has a tendency to stick. When the storms roll in, the roof reveals its secret, letting the rain dance down inside, and the heater emits a noise reminiscent of it gnawing on gravel. Yet our hearts are filled with affection for it, for the simple reason that it belongs to us. At present, I find myself employed at a charming local hardware store. It may not shine with glamour, yet it holds a special place in my heart. I mend what's broken, engage in conversation, and transport timber. There's a cadence to it. There's a profound truth in the daily commitment to be present, in the quiet satisfaction of knowing you've made a genuine difference in someone's life. Emily embarked on a new adventure, taking on a part-time role at a charming used bookstore just down the street. It's a quaint little place, just a whisper of a shop, yet she finds comfort in the scent of aged paper and the tranquil pauses that linger between visitors. She describes it as a form of healing, yet devoid of the traditional setting. On certain mornings, we stroll to the bakery side by side, fingers intertwined, sharing laughter over the little things that fade away like whispers in the wind. On weekends, we embark on journeys, with no particular place to go, just a full tank of gas and the endless stretch of time ahead. We've journeyed through majestic mountains, serene lakes, and quaint diners nestled in forgotten towns. In the quiet of the night, we find ourselves nestled in the back of the car, wrapped in blankets, sharing our dreams in hushed tones, just like young lovers lost in their own world. One night, as we sat beneath the vast expanse of stars in Oregon, she looked at me and said, "You know, I don't think I'm meant to be a mother." Her voice carried no trace of sorrow, only tranquility, like a soul who had at last embraced a truth she once battled against. I gazed at her and softly spoke, "You need not be. To me, you are already everything." With a soft smile, she caressed my face tenderly before planting a gentle kiss on my lips. That marked the conclusion of their exchange and the dawn of a more profound connection. We refrain from discussing timelines or expectations. We steer clear of crafting five-year plans. We journey through life, embracing each day and savoring every fleeting moment. And so we find ourselves in a state of joy, not the kind of joy you share with the world, the gentle sort. She whips up pancakes, despite her disdain for cooking, all for the simple joy of knowing how much I adore them. The kind where I tuck little messages into her books, waiting for her to discover them days later. She holds on to them, each and every one. In the quiet hours of the night, when shadows dance and silence reigns, she turns to him and softly asks, "Do you ever ponder what might have unfolded if I had kept it to myself? What is it that you seek?" I shall inquire, feigning ignorance. With a gentle curve of her lips, she smiles. That familiar sideways smile from the porch, just like a year ago. "Step inside if you dare." And I shall respond in the same manner each time. I would have still made my way here. In one way or another, the tale unfolds, for I am certain that I would have. In ways that elude our comprehension, she became my savior, and perhaps I rescue her just a bit as well. Not through repairs or solutions, but simply by being present, remaining. Each day she is chosen anew. And so we continue on this path, embracing one another with the dawn of each new day. As the sun dips below the horizon, the curtain of night unfurls. Each serene, lovely, everyday moment